Welcome back, my admirable audience. Sugar pants all up in your grill with another scrap of salacious scum. Today's particularly putrid parable is 1988's Hack-O-Lantern. It's all about a satanic grandpa trying to turn his oldest grandson to the dark arts. And the best part is, the grandson doesn't seem to have a problem with that. So let's light the candles and spread out the goat's blood and chant in Latin while I read off the sleaze docket. We have 7 dead bodies, but one is a dream. We have 7 cups blood, 11 naked breasts, 3 naked butts, 3 naked bajingos, 1 flame-broiled car, 2 pentagram ass brands, 1 pentagram ass branding, 1 decapitation, 1 shovel split skull, 1 strangulation, corset crushing, hammer to the skull, trident to the throat, trident to the chest, knife to the back, gunshot to the back, accidental corpse groping, spider loofah scrub, 1 carpeted bathroom, 1 fetus in a jar, and 1 Elvira poster. We begin with a delightful autumn morning on the farm. A truck loaded with freshly harvested pumpkins heads down the single-lane road towards a charming little farmhouse. Little Tommy is in his room and hears the truck honk the horn and runs out to see his grandpa, who gives him a rubber skeleton and says nothing would keep him from seeing him on the most special day of the year, Halloween. He offers him his pick of the pumpkins and then gives him a special gift because he's very, very special. Then Grandpa quickly takes off. In the backyard, Mom is hanging up the laundry while her 3 kids run around. Roger is chasing Vera with a gun and Tommy is carving a jack-o'-lantern. She warns Tommy to wait for his dad to get home and help so he doesn't hurt himself. And as if on cue, Tommy slices his finger pretty good. He sucks on his finger and announces that he likes the taste of blood and that Grandpa told him it's good for him. Mom is suddenly very concerned and asks when he saw his grandpa, as well as if he was given anything other than the pumpkin. Tommy quietly pushes the still-wrapped gift down into his pocket while Mom smashes the pumpkin. We don't even... Skip ahead a bit and Dad's home. Cracking open a beer, he asks his wife why Grandpa singles out Tommy over the other 2 kids. He then says if Amanda isn't willing to confront Grandpa about it, then he'll have to. Amanda begs him not to go as it's Halloween, but Bill insists he needs to put a stop to whatever hold Grandpa has over Tommy and heads off. He goes straight to Grandpa's barn where there's a friendly little get-together happening. Bill angrily tells Grandpa to stay away from his son, and Grandpa says,
Tommy was never yours.
And insists that Tommy belongs to something greater than Dad could ever imagine. Then a cloaked minion bashes Bill's skull in with a hammer, and they torch his car to make it look like an accident. And apparently the flames are close enough that Tommy can see them from his bedroom window. He finally opens Grandpa's present, and it's some badass Hot Topic jewelry. Skip ahead 13 years, and Tommy has grown up to become a no-shirt vest enthusiast. A honking truck gets him up and out of bed for the day. Grandpa's got another load of pumpkins as well as another gift. He tells Tommy that it's not just any Halloween. Tonight, Tommy's gonna learn what his true strength is. Then Grandpa does his 20-pack-a-day cackle. All while concerned Amanda looks from the inside. The 2 flash, I love you, and not the devil horns. And Grandpa drives off while Tommy stares daggers at the audience. Before he can get too far, he runs into Amanda standing in the middle of the road. How did she get there so fast? She was watching as Grandpa left. She tells Grandpa to leave her son alone, but Grandpa says Tommy is his and that he has plans for the boy. She says his people took her husband, but they can't have her children. We then get a flashback to Amanda's wedding day, and it's pretty heavily implied that Grandpa might very well be Tommy's dad.
I am instituting prima nocta.
Back at the house, Amanda is digging in the garden when a young woman introduces herself as Beth, a friend of Vera's. Inside, we meet up with grown-up Vera in a... with an exceptionally lucky loofah. While scrubbing her face, she doesn't notice the loofah being replaced with a giant hairy spider. She rubs it on her face and freaks out. "Oh, it's just a prank, bro." Once in her robe, Vera tells Beth that her mom is always sad on Halloween since that's the day her husband died. Beth asks if Tommy is going to the party, and Vera says he hates hanging around with his siblings. Beth seems relieved to hear this. Meanwhile, at the police station, we catch up with Roger, who's the new cop on the force. He's given an assignment to be security at a Halloween party at his old hometown. The sheriff tells him while he's in town to keep an eye on the cemetery. Back home, Amanda is checking on Tommy.
"Tommy, can you hear me?"
"Can you feel me near you?" Boy, there's a lot of music in this episode. Tommy tells her to go away and puts on some tunes. See, kids, this is what music fans used to do before the internet. Our music took up physical space instead of digital space. And with the tunes blaring in his earballs, Tommy has a rock and roll fantasy. Oh, man. How lame is it that Tommy isn't even the front man in his own imagination? After some actually not that bad rock, the multi-armed hottie approaches, unhinges her jaw, and starts firing lasers from her head. The band is vaporized, I guess, and Tommy is all that's left, who's speared in the throat until he's decapitated. Amanda's watering the garden and sobbing as Roger rides up on his motorcycle. She tells him that she can't help Tommy since he's out of control and keeps some bad company. Speaking of, we meet said company loading up on the Heinekens while the peanut gallery makes their comments. But regardless of what they say, we get to see some tiny little shorty shorts and a cute little butt pentagram. But before they can take off, Grandpa shows up to remind Tommy again how important tonight's ceremony is and that he should skip the boozing and the screwing. And just like a good satanic lad, Tommy follows Grandpa's advice and has his girlfriend drop him off at home. Beth and Vera are continuing to get ready for the party and discussing the fact that Vera has been dating her boyfriend Brian for a month now and hasn't gotten busy with him yet. But Vera says she's pretty confident that tonight is the night. Amanda and Roger are having a nice visit as well, discussing the family. Mom is worried that Vera is growing up too fast. Beth makes goo-goo eyes at the good brother before taking off. Amanda says she wishes her 3 kids would stick together tonight, and Roger says he'll have a talk with Tommy, who's exercising in the basement. Roger tries to tell Tommy to do something meaningful with his life, and Tommy says he's doing just that before showing off his satanic altar. While her boys talk, Amanda places flowers on her husband's grave. Walking through the garden, Beth tries getting the details on Roger, going so far as to ask how he looks outside of his uniform. I mean, yeah, I'm sure living in the same house gives a chance of seeing siblings outside of their clothes. It's still kind of skeevy asking about it. Vera tells Beth that Roger probably isn't wild enough for her. That's when the two are given a weak jump scare from Mom, who insists that Vera visit her father's grave too. And if you thought we were done with Tommy's girlfriend, think again. She pops up out of the pool in the most cumbersome yet revealing swimsuit I've ever seen. She then goes inside and strips everything off so we can see the rest before she takes a quick shower. Outside, a cloaked figure approaches. Nora hears something over the hairdryer right next to her ear and goes to check if it's Tommy. She closes the door and gasps when she sees a masked figure in the window. Assuming it's Tommy, she lets him in and heads for the booze. After preparing a couple of drinks, she drops her towel and invites her guests for some fun on the couch. Instead, the masked intruder stabs her in the face and neck with a trident. We cut to the location of the Halloween party being decorated when Grandpa pulls up. He approaches Vera and tells her he's brought a load of pumpkins for the party, but Vera insists he's really looking for Tommy. Grandpa grumbles about how he's with Nora. So I guess it wouldn't be a slasher flick if we didn't have the appearance of a red herring questioning who the masked killer is. Grandpa gets a little creepy over how his granddaughter has grown up to be quite a tempting young lady, but she's rescued by her boyfriend Brian, who mistakes him for a creepy old man. I mean, he is a creepy old man, but apparently it makes a difference if you're related to them. Grandpa promptly then takes off. Just then Roger rolls up on his bike. Grandpa calls him the family goody two-shoes and asks if he's going to protect the town tonight. Roger tells Grandpa that there's been some strange things happening, and Grandpa just plays dumb about his obvious involvement. Roger then meets up with his sister, who starts digging about what he thinks of Beth, and gives him some not-so-subtle hints that he should get friendly with her, which he does, and she invites herself to come along with him while he does his lawly duties. Back at the house, Tommy's upstairs and hears some lady grunts. He goes into Vera's bedroom to find his sister rolling around with Brian. Enraged, Tommy slams him against the wall in a chokehold before escorting him outside with the warning that next time he's dead. Tommy runs downstairs and pulls a demon mask from his dresser and loads up a duffel bag along with his bitchin' switchblade. Brian's retreating through the cemetery, muttering about what an asshole Tommy is. The camera switches to give the impression that he's being watched. A noise gets Brian's attention, and he calls out,
Hey, who's there?
Before taking off in a sprint. Unfortunately, he's not paying attention to where he's running and falls into an open grave. When he gets to his feet, he sees our cloaked killer who cleaves Brian's skull with a shovel. Roger calls Vera, and she catches him up on Tommy's angry episode, as well as telling him not to have too much fun with Beth. Amanda comes out of the shed covered in dirt and says someone has to actually do some work on the orchard. Ooh, could this be another red herring? Vera tells Mom about Tommy, and she angrily replies that she only has time for her own friends. She calms her down by taking her inside to get cleaned up. Night finally falls, and Grandpa's barn party is in full swing, with delicious goat blood and a new hot blonde recruit. They remove her see-through robe and brand her ass with a pentagram. Well, now we know how Nora got hers. Roger and Beth end up at the cemetery and find shenanigans afoot. Roger reaches for his gun, but only find a bunch of kids who say they were just picking up the candy that they dropped. Once they leave, Beth gets all gooey and asks if Roger has ever made it on a grave. The two start getting busy on top of a freshly buried Brian. Unfortunately, we skip the nitty-gritty and jump to the fully clothed afterglow. The two jump on their bike, and Roger drops Beth off to meet up with Vera while Mom watches. And it's time for the party! A masked lady walks downstairs and starts peeling her clothes off as the crowd reacts mildly. But outside is where the real action is. Some random dude does some really lame stand-up routine about stripping and naked women. Like the cringiest, unfunny cornball surrounded by the most obvious pity laughter imaginable. Yeah, let's hear jokes about a stripper instead of watching the actual stripper. Don't enjoy the actual entertainment, watch some jackass talking about the entertainment. What the fuck does that even mean? Vera is helping Beth get dressed for the party and is all wishy-washy about the incident with Brian, but Vera's insistent on just having fun. Beth confesses that her fun started early and she didn't even need her costume. Vera gets all weird about her brother getting screwed and not only wants to hear where it happened, she insists on seeing where the deed was done. So the two ladies go straight to the graveyard. Only this time Vera notices the fake hand in the dirt, thinking it's another Halloween prank. Unfortunately, Vera grabs it and pulls out her dead boyfriend. She sobs and immediately says Tommy did it and swears she'll get him back. The two go to Grandpa's farm, but Vera insists that Beth stay outside. Vera bursts through the doors and calls out Tommy, who is indeed wearing the demon mask. Grandpa says she has to pay for intruding on the ceremony. They string her up by her wrists underneath the goat head, and Grandpa hands a sacrificial knife to Tommy, instructing him to kill his sister. But Tommy's protective brotherly instincts kick in again, and he slashes the ropes instead. She takes off, and Grandpa reminds him that his only family are the ones in hell, and Tommy just failed the master. Grandpa turns his back on Tommy and is very noticeably upset by his actions. Tommy throws the knife down and runs away. One of Grandpa's minions asks if they should bring him back, but he says no and heads off to do something he now has no choice but to do. Amanda steps outside of the farmhouse to hang a wreath on the front door and light the jack-o'-lantern on the porch. Vera and Beth finally make it to the party to let Roger know what's happened, but we instead follow a random party guest to the bathroom. In walks a demon mask, and the lady immediately strikes up a conversation and asks if the other will help her tighten up her corset, which Demon Mask does, and then jams a knife in her back. Roger takes off on his bike and rides to Grandpa's barn with backup, but they don't find anything inside. Sarge says someone just pulled a fast one on him, as it is Halloween, and takes off. Vera and Beth make it to the bathroom to freshen up after their ordeal, and they find the murdered woman, assuming that she's drunk. Beth hangs up their coats, and out comes Demon Mask with some rope to strangle Beth, dragging her into the closet. Vera finds her fresh corpse hanging, and then discovers the other woman is dead too. Demon Mask is outside passing by guests and runs into Vera, who assumes it's Tommy. Which is weird because Tommy's like 7 feet tall and this person is clearly nowhere that size. Not shocking, the mask is removed to reveal Grandpa, who insists that she belongs to Satan. But then another Demon Mask enters the party and the two clash tridents.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
That felt forced and trite. How about this?
You're using Bonetti's defense against me, huh?
I thought it fitting, considering the rocky terrain.
Naturally. You must expect me to attack with Capafero.
Naturally. But I find that Tibble cancels out Capafero.
Yeah, I like that one much better. The two slug it out for a short time before Grandpa takes a trident to the chest and falls from the stairs. Roger returns just then and takes the mask off. Grandpa groans about how the power is the blood and touches his forehead, leaving a glowing red mark for a second. The other Demon Mask runs off, but is shot in the back by Roger. He staggers away through the woods, passes several fog machines, and finally falls to the ground. He takes off his mask and...
Oh, it's a lady.
Oh my God, it's Mom! She finally makes her way to her husband's grave and sobs into the dirt. Tommy slowly approaches and takes her in his arm and apologizes. She passes away, and Tommy gives the sign of the cross, and it fades to black. Skip ahead sometime, and we're back in Grandpa's barn with a whole bunch of cloaked worshippers. The leader turns around and, it's Roger!
We welcome the night.
And we roll the credits. Now that's a fun little movie. A little blood and gore, some nice nudity, some characters you actually are rooting for, and a little sleight of hand to keep us guessing until the very end. We know of 3 definite people who had the Demon Mask: Mom, Grandpa, and Tommy. And I'm still not sure who's responsible for what. Who killed Tommy's girlfriend? Who killed Brian? I don't believe either was Tommy, but I'm not exactly certain Mom wasn't responsible for one or even both. What about Beth? Most likely Grandpa, but I'm still not fully convinced one way or another. I enjoyed this one a lot more than I anticipated. At first I thought it was just going to be a cheesy, cringy movie, but it ended up just cheesy enough to enjoy. Plus the pacing was pretty good too. We didn't waste a lot of time getting to the good stuff, but it plodded along slowly enough to develop our characters enough that we give a damn about them. Hack-O-Lantern was written by Dave Eisenstark, who also penned Creepazoids and Blood Nasty. Starring as the gravel-voiced Grandpa was High Pike. He was also in Dolomite, The Amorous Adventures of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza, Hollywood High, Spawn of the Slithus, Blade Runner, and Vamp. Gregory Scott Cummings played Tommy in his acting debut, but you definitely know him as Mac's dad in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Stay out of this. Both of you. I do not want you stirring things up. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Dad.
Other acting gigs he's had include Action USA, Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, Cliffhanger, and as Acrobat Thug 1 in Batman Returns.
I'm not really one for speeches, so I'll just say thanks.
Carla B. played our adorably cute sister Vera, but had a very short career, which is a shame because she was someone I would have liked to have seen more often. Other movies include Terror Night, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-orama, Necromancer, and The Jigsaw Murderers. Well, that's going to do it for another emaciated entry, my little ones, but you should know by now there's plenty more sickly cinema on the way. So until I greet you next time, this is your old pal Sugar Pants. See you in your dreams.
Well, ordinarily I'd say screw her brains out, but I don't think that little witch has got any.